for this particular panel. Also, I do want to make sure people know that there are books for sale in the back. Okay, so in case you do not have your own copy of the book that accompanies the collection, you can visit the table in the back to make your purchase and to support all of this work. Also, as we mentioned earlier, for those who may have come in afterwards, we are here at ADAMA, and ADAMA is currently fundraising and welcoming support in a variety of ways. So please do visit ADAMA to make sure that you can still, support this place and more work and more moments like this. This particular panel, I think, is a certain energy already. I think y'all can probably tell that's kind of permeating from this space. I think a lot of work. I think design work is a very interesting, filter through how we approach and how we receive art. And it's not that the artists here are not talented across a range of perspectives, but I just really feel like their design work and how that influences their art fosters a certain type of energy that really just permeates how it resonates with us and how we just sort of like feel it. So with that, I'll turn it over to Esohe to maybe dive deeper into that, but also, of course, talk about the collection journey for you and George and these artists.
Thank you. Thank you to the panel of artists. As you guys, if you're looking at your watch, we're running just a little bit over. We started a little bit late, but I appreciate the conversations that have been had and having such a wide range of conversations with everybody. So I'll start with Flux. Love Flux work, love his illustrations. So much of that design textual element, like when we collect and there's some words included, like that's me. Like I love to see the words, I love to see the messaging. And so your piece, we had asked you about sketches from your sketchbook, because at the time you were doing a lot of painting, but again, that design element comes through so strongly, like in your illustrations. And so you did 31 days of Inktober?
Yeah, 31 days of color.
Yeah, so that was the piece that we saw initially and fell in love with it. But the second piece that we had from you are the TVs that are in this back left corner. And it was the second time that we saw the piece, and we said we couldn't pass it up a second time. Like the first time, we missed it, but the second time we said we couldn't pass it up. And it is certainly one of my mother's favorite pieces. I don't consume a lot of television, but I appreciated the messaging and the design element within the piece. So if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about some of this work.
Okay, word. C.Flux Sing. Some of y'all might know. Short for Craig, Flux Singleton. Flux is the name I gave myself, originally from New York City. I just want to say that that piece is my mother's favorite piece, too. Like, she wanted it before y'all got it, but I got her a print. So,
Blessed to have the original, thank you.
Yeah, man, I made my way down to Atlanta in '94, along with a bunch of more other people that y'all might know, and I attended the Art Institute. So my background is in advertising, graphic design. Although I did illustration from a young youth, those career choices kind of gave me an idea about composition, mixing type and illustration. So you'll see that in a lot of my work, just from doing it so long, right? And went to the Art Institute and I started meeting other illustrators. So Maya Bailey being one of them, Tukey Carter, Goldi Gold, my cousin Kerman, a bunch more folks, right? So looking at all these different styles, it was like, yo, I gotta do something, you know what I mean? And that's what really inspired my style. My style started to grow from there. So I like ink, right? Because it's just, when you do it right or when you do it ill, uniquely, it could say so much. So doing the Inktober was a challenge for me to do work that consistently, right? and I could see my style changing and growing within then. So I just wanted to present that. I was proud of it, so I wanted to present that, and it was called 31 Days Till Color, right? So I did a coloring book along with it, so it was an experiment, you know, and I really enjoyed it. I haven't done much ink since, but I was talking about getting back into it. Now, the piece back here, which is called Technical Difficulties, again, I'm from an advertising background, so the reason why I didn't do advertising was because I didn't like the way that it manipulated the population, right? So I learned psychology, I learned all sociology, all these things in advertising, that's a part of it, but they also point out like the reasons why they do certain things, and when you find that out, I'm like, dang, y'all really out here just fucking with people, you know what I'm saying, just for money. So money and control. So, you know, that's what that plays into. When you talk about programming, people take it lightly. Like, yo, we gonna watch some TV, it's entertainment, it's took on entertainment. But it's actually programming, it's television programming. So there's ideas, perspectives that they feed in you all the time. And that makes it difficult for you to have your own unique perspective, right? Your authentic, or to even be your authentic self. And that's what that piece is about. So you have the black space child, which, you know, represents the universe, because that's what I believe. That's what I know for me, right? You know, we are children of God or the creator. So all of that is in it, in this form, in this body, right? So you have that, but your thoughts and how you project and manifest things is how you create into the world. So it's hard to do that when you got programming telling you this, you that, you can't do, you can do, and it's hard to transmit or transmute or transform without it. You know what I mean? So that's what it's about.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tom Davii. We initially met you as Jody Markers, master with the markers. So these pieces in the back, the Magic City piece. I wish I had my other half to tell this story because he tells it better than I do. But he has an affinity for the gentlemen's clubs. And when he saw this piece from you, I couldn't say no, right? I couldn't say no. But in addition to that, we love the self-portrait. We love self-portraits to see artists representing themselves and what that looks like. And then this latest piece that we acquired at Articulate, it just made sense and it felt like home and it reminded you of something familiar. But if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about this style that we've watched, like, develop, like, right in front of our eyes, like, over the past, like, 6 years, and it's been beautiful. But if you could tell us a little bit about that and yourself.
So I sat in this seat because I thought I was going to be third. But, you know, things change and we have to adapt, right? So, yeah, my name is Tom Davii. I grew up between Troup County and Atlanta my whole life. Not a Grady baby, but my whole family is, you know. So they took me under their wing, and I've been here my whole life. Basically, when it comes to my pieces, I like to just reflect that what we all know, what we all enjoy, what we all have fun, what's our story. Everyone grew up outside, you know. Everyone grew up going to different events, having fun with their friends, enjoying life. And that's the things that I like to reflect in a lot of my pieces. If you all have watched me grow, you see me go from, let's say, quick illustrations of cartoons to cubism to, what's that? We'll say cubism mixed with impressionism maybe. But all of it has just been a growth of what I want as an artist, and that's longevity. You know, I do ink, I deal with markers. You know, you can't really make mistakes, but you make mistakes quite often. And I think that of just trying to develop something that's not too normal, is not a normal medium, is probably the biggest blessing of why I even took on to that medium and what I have gotten out of it to this day. You know, I'm a product of a lot of artists that's in here. You know, I have long talks with Cake all the time. You know, Maya most definitely. I think that was my first show as in City of Ink. And I'm just happy to be among these people right now. You know, they all OGs. I've been watching everyone since I dropped out of SCAD, you know, so I'm just I'm just happy to be here, and I'm just really honored that I even have 3 pieces on the wall right now showing almost each year of what I've developed into right now, so.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Binks, we so happy to have you back from Florida, man. Like, we so happy. We so happy. We are so happy. Again, there's a textual element in your piece, but there's a lightness and an airiness and a beautiful childlike exuberance. And that was another acquisition at Articulate. We waited a little bit, gave it some time, but absolutely beautiful. And a friend of mine who's here, Russell Hobson, got another piece from that same series. A couple of these guys have some work in a show that opened last night at Old Rabbit Gallery, Maya's latest gallery, and we were most amazed to see that transition within your work that was shown, like, and the work is like the old and the new. And so we saw the old style, we saw the new style, and really excited about what's to come. So 1, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, but 2, you being back in Atlanta and what that means to you and your artistry.
My name is Binky Warbucks. Some people know me by Binks, you know, little bruh, Shaylin Wright. I'm from Hollywood, Florida. You know, I'm up here by way, you know, just by way of love. You know, it really is a beautiful thing. I came up here by way of FAMU. I heard about Atlanta. It was like Neverland to us, you know, but I was like, we gotta go. I met up here with a young lady who we had a love interest. She was always telling me about the scene and how I needed to get a part of the scene. And I was lucky to meet Tyree Smith, who's not in the building. Tyree was like, he really took me under his wing, showed me the city, got me around Maya, got me around the OGs, you know, and then once I saw the OGs, and I was like, oh, these fellas, you know, they doing exactly how I'm doing it, you know. And the thing that I can respect about everybody, every artist that I ran and was encountered with is the fact that, you know, emotion. We deal with emotion, we deal with spirit, we deal with good times, and we deal with the Black experience. And, you know, that's the wonderful thing about it. You know, that's why I was in a rush to come back up here from Miami, because, like, the thing that we have here in Atlanta is that we are a community, an actual community. A lot of people I call my brothers, my sisters. You know, I believe in that. Like, anybody who know me, I embrace you. Like, I might be your cousin at the cookout. So, you know, that's my whole authentic self. Like, I just want you to know that I'm with you. Like, I need you with me. So even in my artwork, like, you know, the lighter side of things, I grew up around my grandma. She used to always tell us about the stories of how her and my grandfather left Rosewood. They was a part of Rosewood, Gainesville, Florida. And they was telling us how she always made it stick that, you know, oh, y'all got it good these days. You know, she was a dark-skinned woman. She used to always tell us the dark-skinned stories and how she had it hard in school, in church, and everywhere. So a lot of my reflections, you know, you'll see the girls with the hair, you know, the picky head, you know, they call them pick-me. But a lot of that is the statues I saw around my grandma's house, from the Aunt Jemima statues to, you know, the black babies on the clouds, you know, a real, you know, Black story. Jet magazines, my grandma made sure I was around all that. So, you know, that was my first introduction to art, like drawing out of Jet magazine. So, you know, just drawing Bart Simpson turning them black. You know, I'm part of the 90s, so a lot of things, even when you see me, you know, you might see me, I live in the style, you know, like these fellas, you know, they were just telling me I'm straight out the 80s, but, you know, 90s, you know, that's the era, you know, and that's the thing that I embrace. I love to embrace it with my people. I love to embrace it with y'all, and I thank y'all for accepting me as your own, you know, because Atlanta is a place to make it, and it's also a place to fall out, you know, so I'm happy to make it, to be with people who I call my family, and to express my art. So thank y'all.
All right. Welcome back.
So is my mic up? Okay. When we were first introduced to your work, it was largely through your graphic tees and graphic sweatshirts. We wanted a piece of your original fine art, But the tees and the sweatshirts, one Christmas, I think I gave out like 6 to family. Like the Dick Gregory, the Colin Kaepernick. It just, and I couldn't keep them all for myself because it didn't make no, like I wasn't gonna wear that many t-shirts and sweatshirts. But the illustration, the graphic design quality, the product that you produce, and I know that you just dropped a new line here recently, so everybody, make sure you shout out the website and people take a look at it. But we were most excited in 2020, we did Articulate Virtually, and you had the legacy piece. And it was our opportunity to have a piece of your work on our wall. We wanted something that you had touched, right? Not just something that you had designed. And that piece spoke to us. Can you tell us a little about you, your artistry, and your work?
What's going on? My name is Goldi Gold. I've been down here since, 94? All of us went to the Art Institute, Flux, Maya, Shaniqua, Tuki, all of us. So we all watched each other grow up to who we are now. And I was mostly doing sketching, and then I started doing digital illustration, helped by Flux. He used to try to get on me about straightening the lines with my artwork, but then I was like, nah, I just want to create my own style. And that's what I was basically doing. And with the legacy piece, it was, first of all, I was glad that y'all reached out to me, because there's a couple of times y'all did reach out to me. I was somewhere out the country, you know what I mean? But it was like y'all saying it was an experimental thing, just doing it online. And I like supporting everybody from the ground up. So I was like, it's no problem. And with that piece, it was basically like I wrote online that it was inspired by Kobe Bryant when they was talking to his daughter, Gigi. And it was like, who's gonna take over your legacy because you have all girls? And she was like, yo, I got it, you know what I mean? And I kept that in mind, so that's why I created the image where you don't know if it's a girl or a boy, and all the attention is on that particular child, because we learn from our children, whether you got a niece, little cousin or whatever. So I was surprised when y'all picked it, because when I came back, I was like, oh snap, I got a red dot, you know what I mean? And it was pretty dope. It was pretty dope. And like I said, I'm glad to be a part of y'all collection. I'm glad to be around all these dope artists that I try to support in some way or somehow.
We appreciate you. The merch, can you just shout that out a little bit and what we got going on?
I try to pretty much put the same energy that I put in my artwork in the merch. And it's like invest in gold. .bigcartel.com, and it's just the same thing, because a lot of people is whatever hot, they just throw it on a shirt and put out there, and I usually, not even usually, I always want to put something with meaning that, some people might not see, or some person that is forgotten, and it's good for people to wear it and it represent them through what I created, you know what I mean? So it don't even have to be about me, it's about the image and what they say, what it says about you, because you choose to wear it. And that's the best part of it.
Thank you all for sharing your time and your talent. I do want to point out a couple things. One, I feel like we've had 94 mentioned a few different times in this talk. I feel like somebody should organize a 30-year show. 94, be 30 years next year, 2024. There should be maybe, a 30-year show. Someone should organize that or curate that.
We should.
Sounds like we have some work to do. I just wanted to just, verbalize that because it felt like it was popping up. So maybe we need to talk about that. Okay. But I think when we have a collection of folks who are incorporating design into how they move in the world professionally and creatively, I do think a lot about like how do you all sort of redesign yourselves? as you continue to move through this life and through this space?
Especially with the design. I learned a long time ago, even no matter what you do, digitally or whatever, you got to add the breath of life to it. You know what I mean? And that's what people get attracted to. So that's my thing. Color create emotion. You know what I mean? The theme, that create emotion. And think about the people, you know what I mean? That create emotion also. It don't necessarily have to be about you. So that's why I always strip my artwork down so people can relate to, instead of me looking at them like, they ain't figured out yet. I feel good about it. Now I'd rather strip it down. I want even the smallest child to look at it and feel that they can do it themselves. You know what I mean? So you got to think about, like they say, read the room. You got to do it like that. That's how I do it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I got to ask that question yesterday. Because, show yesterday was about old and new. So basically I was showing work from 2018 to 2023. And I was like, how do you, go through transitioning? And honestly, it's not even anything that I do on purpose. It's just the consistency of me just experimenting every day the same technique. It's like I'm just sharpening iron, and who knows what's going to come out of that. I didn't go into cubism on purpose. I honestly just broke all the rules that whatever was taught to me and said I'm just going to do something different, and it came out. But honestly, my test is if I draw it once and I ask like my top 3 people how they like it, and 9 times out of 10 if they don't like it, that means it's something great. Because they're not used to it. People are used to the norm. They want to see, realism and faces and stuff they can recognize. But when it's something that they're not used to, they automatically have to get adjusted to it, which gives you even more range to play with to your style, So that's my test. So y'all can try it out and see what you think about it,
I definitely say community. Like, real talk. Like, if it wasn't, I strongly believe if it wasn't for my brothers, my sisters, in our group, Chinese food, like, I don't know where we would be, a lot of us, because a lot of us, we use that as the fire to keep moving. And then we seeing the OGs, like, actually in the mud with us putting in the work. Then we actually learning from the OGs, and we practicing. Like, we had a show yesterday, and we was trying to get on some Hollywood stuff, like, not trying to hang the artwork. Then it got to a point where it was like, hey, man, we know what we need to do. So we got the drills, everybody went home, handled business, and we had a successful show just off the strength of us putting in the work and inspiring each other. So really, that's the best thing we could do for each other is like really add that fire to each other and really like, if somebody get dull, light them up, candles work best, as a team. So real, that's real, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for George, Esohe. I'm thankful for y'all. I'm thankful for everybody because it's real, we need each other. We need that fire. So that's it.
Yeah, for real. That's real. Because I struggle with change. Not that, I don't change, but people may not want me to change, or that's how I perceive it. Because, people could recognize my style. I have a unique style, but sometimes I get bored with it. So I may want to change it up. And then people may be like, nah, we want that. And I'll be like, man, but what about this right here? They be like, nah, they may catch on to it. Some catch on to it. Some people may, catch on to it later, prayerfully before I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? But, I struggle with that because sometimes I think ahead of the curve. Gold would tell me all the time, like, yo, man, you gotta make it so whoop, whoop, whoop. And I'll be like, nah, man, fuck that, I need to do this. But, he'd be right. You know what I'm saying? But then, right, so I'll be right too at times, but, it's difficult sometimes, but I constantly like to learn and grow, especially when you got younger folks around you doing dope things, and that's inspiration too, you know what I mean? So like just even listening to Tom and watching his transition, or talking to Bink yesterday about his transition is like, yo, that shit is real dope, because they're into it and they're watching themselves and pushing themselves to evolve. And, you know, you see it with Grace, you know, Maurice, you see it with Kate, you know, everybody, man, and it's inspiring. So, you know, I try to push myself, you know, but sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I may second guess what I'm doing, you know, even though I'll still do it, but I second guess it sometimes.
It's real. It's real. Thank you. And thank you. Yes.
So there is one more conversation, and I know that we are running a little over time, but please stay for this last conversation because we appreciate all of the artists so much that are part of the collection, and it literally takes all of them to have what we have. So if you're able to hear this last part of the conversation and it's tied back into Articulate, we appreciate your attention and your willingness to spend your Saturday afternoon with us.
Yeah. And, yo, can I just say I want to thank y'all because everybody said it. I feel left out, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm inconsiderate, man, but, you know, I'm very thankful for y'all because even putting us in this space, you know, sometimes we may look to collectors to just buy stuff, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I got something good, it should be bought, right? But the connection between, you know, collectors and artists and what y'all doing, I really appreciate it because it's teaching us some different ways of how to approach it as well as expand. So I want to thank y'all for that.
Thank you.